This exhibition number 3 is about European discoveries from the New World to new technologies. And we have, this exhibition is led by Portugal with the support of our colleagues from Spain. And the idea of discovery, of exploring the unknown, of finding and attempting new things, of creating new objects and artifacts, of innovative challenges to the conventional has been constant in the history of Europe and humankind. It remains one of the most common and permanent traits of European history and culture, uniting the lands and the peoples of the various European nations in common enterprises throughout the centuries. The history of the development of science and the technology progress is a prime example of international cooperation and a key chapter in the history of Europe. Well, in this exhibition, we show 45 different digital documents covering 3 pillars, and the documents that we present in this exhibition are from Malta, Spain, Portugal, Norway, Hungary, and we have other partners such as ICARUS and MTU from Ireland. Well, and in this presentation, I highlight only 5 documents from the 3 pillars, okay? Because the time is very few for that. Well, from medicine, in this exhibition, we have 12 documents, and that present an overall view of many different facets that medical knowledge and medical activities took along the ages in Europe. And in these 12 documents, I highlight 2, foodstuff for troops from Spain, and a document from Egas Muniz, lettering in Lisbon. And what we have here? Well, here we have samples of jelly of bones for troop food stuff. Is a manuscript on paper from our colleagues, our Spanish colleagues. And this document is very important because we have known that good health relies on good food science, the early days of dietary theory, the relationship between health and food quality is critical when it comes to feeding troops. The item displayed is a collection of 36 samples of jelly bones used in foodstuff for troops. And these samples or soup cups are enclosed with a manuscript reported by the professor of chemistry in the Royal Laboratory of Segovia, entitled Experience on Measures to Increase the Soldiers' Subsistence with no further charge to the Royal Treasury, dated from 1791. The author of the report was the distinguished French pharmacist and chemist Joseph Louis Proust, considered one of the founders of modern chemical analysis. So this document is very important also, and you can learn a lot of this in the Spanish archives, because they have a lot of information about this development of these chemists. The other document that I highlight here also is Egas Muniz, lettering in Lisbon. And Egas Muniz making his lecture at the Lisbon Medical School. What we have here is a negative on glass, and you can search more information in our site, in the National Archive from Portugal. And who is this man? This man, Egas Muniz, is a medical. He is making his lecture at the Lisbon Medical School, and he was a renowned Portuguese medical doctor with major contributions in neurology, along with the development of new techniques to study the brain and the treatment of mental illness. He was a pioneer in the cerebral angiography and also developed a technique called leucotomy. In 1949, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, together with the physiologist Walter Hess. And in Portugal and in Europe, he was distinguished. And at this moment, we have an hospital with his name, because he was very important in the medical sciences. And then this was in the Pillar 1, medicine, but there are a lot of documents, very interesting, and was very difficult to me. I liked these two documents because every them are important, okay? So in the Pillar 2, energy and industry, we have 16 documents that present an overall view of energy industry and covers a variety of machines and industrial procedures with very different technological apparatus or process from the 15th to 20th century. And here I highlight two documents, a Priest project to fly and the invention of the high-resolution television system. One is from Portugal and the other is from Hungary. What is this, a Priest project to fly? Well, this document is known, his title is Letters, Consultations and More Works of Alexandre de Gusmão, the aerostatic machine of Father Bartolomeu de Guerreiro. And this picture is in the book that he wrote, a bound book, and what he intended. The Letters, Consultation and the More Works of Alexandre de Gusmão, the idea of a woman flights has fired our imagination, science antiquity, all over Europe. A constant theme for writers and artists is also fascinated inventors and scientists. In 1709, a young Jesuit priest called Bartolomeu Lourenço de Gusmão petitioned the Portuguese king, John XV, for the right to construct a vehicle to move in the sky. According to Gusmão, his vehicle would be able to fly for more than 200 leagues over sea or land. Besides its obvious military application, the vehicle could also reach the regions near the poles of the world, thus adding further glory to the King of Portugal. It was a dream. The king was obviously interested by the idea, and just a few days afterwards, on 17 April 1709, authorized the construction, granting exclusive rights to the Jesuit father. But I can say you that this wasn't very happy, because the balloon rose in front of the specters, eventually reaching the ceiling of the room, where it had to be rapidly destroyed in order not to start a fire. So he wasn't very happy with this invention. And later, some years later, many decades later, the French Montgolfier brothers finally achieved successful balloon flight, and Guzman's plans were soon forgotten. One more episode in the long of heroic and ingenious attempt to take flight. Well, but he tried, wasn't very successful, but is the first time that the men try to fly. And then in third pillar, we have this subject, transport and navigation. And here we have 18 documents where we can visualize machines, gadget inventions, map, and a variety of other items that attest the interest and the constant the constant voyage in Europe, or involvement European with voyage. And here I highlight a document called New Lands and the New Sky. And why this title? You will understand. This the title from this document is known like Letter from Mestre João to King Dom Manuel I. And this document is very single, hard to folios, manuscript on paper. And what we have here, this is a very important document. It is a memory of world recognized by UNESCO, this document called Carta de Pero Vaz de Caminha, like we sometimes call. Letter from Mestre João to King Dom Manuel I. The arrival of Europeans in America and the opening maritime commercial lines between Europe and Asia were epoch-defining events destined to transform the history of the world. And the long-distance ocean voyage were the engine of these events, and thus at the heart of radical changes in the economic and political configuration of the early modern. Well, and this manuscript page show as a letter to the King of Portugal, written by Master John, a bachelor in arts and medicine, physics on board the fleet, led by Pedro Álvares Cabral, that reached Brazilian shores for the first time in April 18th century. And Master John briefed the king on a number of scientific and technical aspects related to his voyage to Brazil. Specifically, he comments on the difficulties of navigating in the southern hemisphere, where the night sky is different to the one of the northern hemisphere. He also relates how the measured latitude when sailing in southern latitude with no polar star in sight. The letter contains one of the first depiction of the Southern Cross, a cross-shaped asterism that sailors could use to identify the South Pole. Well, and here in the document you can see here the asterisms that the navigators can follow since that period. And Master John offered a device to those that will follow. This is very important because this was a big change in the navigation. When sailing at latitudes below the equator, He explains it is better to estimate latitude by measuring the age of the sun than the measurement of the age of stars. In its apparent simplicity, this remarkable letter is very revealing. It shows that in their voyage, European sailors and seamen were not meeting only new coasts and new lands, but as a famous contemporary mathematician said, they also discovered new stars and a new sky. Well, and these are, I could spoke a lot about other documents from transport and navigation, very important in Europe. And you can visit the exhibition at this moment yet in St. Pölten. Okay. Thank you.
So thank you, Anabela, for this overview, for this third exhibition. I think, I don't think I'm mistaken or not, did you mentioned the high resolution television system, the development. Did you?
I missed it. Sorry, I pulled it. Okay, but okay, sorry. Well, in the energy and industry, I need to speak about this. Is important that highlight also. Sorry. Well, this document, invention of high resolution television, is an important document also, because, and interesting, important are all of them, okay, but is interesting also. Hungarian patent application entitled Radioscope. Well, and this document is from Hungary, our colleagues, and what we can find here. We have the patent application entitled Radioscope, and on March 20, 1926, Almantiani, a physicist, electrical engineer, and the inventor, submit the patent application for a high-resolution television system under the designation of Radioscope. And this system for image transmission using cathode ray tubes, precursors of television system, had been discussed by several inventors since the beginning of the 20th century, but no truly system had been produced because the fundamental design issues were still to be resolved. The crucial step forward was provided by Almantiani in 1926, when he proposed a novel design and operation that was later known as storage principle. The system he proposed became the basis of modern television, a system operating on the basis of continuous electron emission. Well, and this is more one, okay. Well, if you wanted to ask me something about it.
Well, as you were responsible finally for this section of the exhibitions, the inventions and detections, I'm sure you had a big number of documents, a pool of documents to select out. How did you manage to get the final selection? What parameters did you use to get from the, I don't know, dozens of documents to reach this, the final number, which proved to be the final decision?
Sorry, Carl, I don't understand. Sorry, can you?
So I think you had a much bigger number of documents at the beginning of the project to be, who were candidates for be part of this exhibition. How did you select finally the ones which are then in reality? parts
Yes,
of the exhibition?
we have a lot of documents from this subject, but it was very difficult for us to choose. But what we think was choose the documents that are more important and that was recognized by UNESCO, and the documents, and we choose also the documents that are requested by every countries, everybody, and they are history from Europe and from the world. For example, the last document, the New Sky and New Land, is a document adopted by Brazil for its flag, and it is very important for discoveries and for everybody, and he was in the history of navigation, who is a mark before this and after this, you know. And the other documents are also by their importance in the Europe. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Does anybody have some remarks, questions to this? Well, if it's not the case,
no.
Thank you much again, Anabela, for this English-speaking introduction of this exhibition number 3. Well, in some minutes, a German version of this exhibition will start with partly different documents to be introduced. So the exhibition still is to be seen in St. Pölten until the end of October. Who wants to see it in natura, so to say?
May I ask one question, Carl? The documents you have in St. Pölten, how many are this in total?
In this exhibition, it's about 47.
Okay.
I suppose, yeah. Used to be 50, but we had some losses, so it's 47 right now.
Thanks.
Yeah, and there's like a difference between the exhibited documents and the documents which are in the catalog. So there are much more documents in the catalog. That's our exhibit. Yeah.
And I would like to say that we will have this exhibition in Porto, 11 November. We will present this exhibition also here in Portugal.
How long will it take in Porto?
In Porto, in the Centro Portuguese Center from Photography.
But how long will you do it?
Till, I think, 20 January.
Oh, that long, okay. Right.
And we recommend to visit it, okay?
Of course.
Okay, let's fly to Porto.
St. Pölten also, okay?
That's connected with a
Yeah.
good holiday. Huh? Right. So, any other remarks, questions?
No questions? For us, nobody wanted to make questions, but I can say something, because for us it is a great pleasure to work with our colleagues from other countries and to prepare this transmedia exhibition. It's very important for knowledge in Europe, and people, we know that everybody has a lot of important documents, but when we take them to the people, is important for everybody to know better Europe.
Yes, I want to stress this too. It was a really big positive aspect to get to know the colleagues and how in different corners of Europe colleagues used to work differently, and how to select the documents, how to prepare the exhibitions. So we are different. We are all going our own ways, but finally we succeeded to reach a common goal, and that's the main message, I think, of this joint ventures of European projects. I think so. The main piece of learning, in my opinion. Yeah. So I think I can say this: we are prepared to continue our cooperation on a European scale. So we prepare another project in this context, of course not the same, but continuing the ideas of common collaborations. So I think this is a thing that must not be forget, that we should keep in touch all the time to develop a better understanding of each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would like to say, Carl, that we have 3 pillars, but only we in Portugal, we have for each of one of these pillars, we have 75 documents. In the beginning, we have only we, and then, well, but we can't have so many documents about medicine, about energy. Well, impossible. We needed to choose to join with our colleagues, and it was difficult. And everybody is the same. Everybody has a lot of documents, important documents about medicine, and yes, but I think the big importance is we can to join to make the transmedia exhibition.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think from that point of view, what Carl asked, Anabel, I like this very much, to understand what kind of pictures or what kind of discoveries have you chosen? What is the metrics in behind to see why this is the one? Because I think every single one you had there is something that makes your heart bleed if it's not in there. So
yes, every them are very important. Each one has his importance, and all of them. And Carl can speak a lot of each document, and about Alexandre de Guzmão, we had a lot of things to say about it, and about television, about transports, about the rivers here, and so on. Every areas that we discover, medicine, and so on. We need time to investigate and to write, because archives are very rich, and they have a lot of stories to tell to people, and we need to preserve the memory of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say, one of the guidelines was, of course, to keep a balance between the contributing archives and countries. So it's, of course, not possible to, if you have the possibility per pilot to have, I don't know, 15 documents, to have 10 from Spain and 5 from Portugal or whatever, and not have anything from the other countries. So we needed a balance to be represented, that all countries could be represented in the exhibition. This was also a guideline we have to follow.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I invite you all to thank you, Anabela, again for this work and overview. And yes, I invite you all to stay here in some minutes at 5:30. We'll continue with the German version with partly little bit other documents. Partly they are the same, but partly they differ a little bit. So partly they are the same, but partly they differ a little bit. So thank you very much, and perhaps see you soon again.
Okay.
Bye.